We knew from the get-go we didn't want to make a sand movie. We'd seen that before in so many other films set in the desert or in Egypt or in what have you. It just felt like there was a lot greater opportunity here to take the iconic imagery and characters and structures that we know from Egypt and kind of say, what were they like in their heyday? What was it like in a time that we liked to pretend that when gods lived among mortals, what would they have made Egypt like? They would have made it a place worthy of them to live in if they were going to live amongst us on Earth. So it would be incredible structures. It would be massively visual and Edenic, and not just sand. It would be massive waterfalls and rivers and mountains and incredible architecture. It would have green in it. I mean, we wanted color in this film. We wanted to really take people to a different place that they'd ever seen before, but yet still check the boxes of those great iconic Egyptian imagery that we've all come to know, so that when you look at the pyramids again now, when you look at the Sphinx now, you'll never see it the same after seeing this film. And the way Alex always boiled it down to, which we thought was the perfect phrase for the defined kind of the mantra of the look of the film, was think of it as Planet Egypt. And that really kind of, solidified the kind of overall look that we were trying to achieve.
There's nobody like Alex Proyas who has the courage and the imagination to say, I'm going to go in there and I'm just going to recreate everything. I'm going to create a world of joy and adventure and imagination for everybody.
In the initial discussions, Alex's advice to me was anything goes, let your hair down, and Planet Egypt. And the last two words is what everyone has adhered to. And when I came in to see Owen and his designs, to see where we were, where the sets that we were within, it gelled. And it's just like, and those two words have carried through the entire film, and in our talk the talk of wherever we relate to anything design-wise on, gods of Egypt, it is Planet Egypt. It is not ancient Egypt.
It's more of a fantasy Egypt. It isn't tied down to sand and sandals. This is a rich and verdant, lush land. And some of the images we've now created of Heliopolis, where our story starts and finishes, it's what we all picture perhaps Egypt was in the days of the pharaohs. And if you ignored all of the sand but you went to where they lived in probably some splendour and comfort, that's our kind of Egypt, but it's 100-fold. Our city is somewhat based on an idea I had when I saw the Parthenon in Athens years ago. It's on a big hill and there's another hill and another hill. I thought, well, what if we had 5 hills that made up Heliopolis? And we'll join those with like roadways or archways or like viaducts almost, but ones that you could walk upon. And then a central point has to be, we'll have a statue of Osiris, I thought, to start with. And I thought, no, we'll make it Ra, because that's our sun god. And so all these things sort of start to go across. And people start to do illustrations of my little sketches, and the town starts to take place, and Alex reacts to it well, the producers act to it and go, oh wow, this is kind of where we want to go and how it should feel. And it's never an instant process, it's bit by bit, and people start to do more work, and we come out and we start to establish where we're going before we say. While we were doing that, we were working with some people in America, the Aaron Sims Company, and they were developing up our characters, because we have a set character. And for a long time we had a really good-looking set, but for Alex he just wasn't ferocious enough or terrifying enough. Had to be something out of your dreams, or your nightmares. And eventually we came up with this sort of cross between a crocodile head and a aardvark, which the real set character is, and then we had something that really started to work. We then did Horus, who is a man, our Nikolaj, who has to transform into this sort of almost biomechanical bird man, a man with wings. And then you go through this process. Well, should he have bird legs or should he have human legs? And in the end, we decided no, he should be a man with the falcon head and the wings. And all of those processes, they feel like so much now at the end of the movie that you wish you knew at the beginning of the movie, but then it wouldn't be as much fun making it.
Let's roll! So one of the most complicated things about shooting this movie is we're shooting the entire film on soundstage in a sea of blue screens. So every single location that we're in, every world that our actors are acting in is being completely fabricated from ground zero. Every day, our actors come in, look at artwork and previs designs of what the scenes will look like, and have to kind of go on that journey in their heads when they're on stage performing.
I'm sorry I'm late. Shit. It's such a big day for the family.
One of the aspects of the movie that we knew from the get-go we had to do was to pre-visualize it. There were so many parts to it, so many things you had to think about, so many things you had to get in place before you actually begin production, that we had to wrap our heads around just the complete image of the movie.
We make these images come to life. Yeah. These pathetic cartoons, we give them soul.
I'd never done this whole thing with Previs. He had the whole movie made like a children's cartoon. But what was cool about watching the Previs with us was that you got a good sense of what it was he was aiming for. I mean, and also I think for him to see, okay, maybe we don't need these lines here. Maybe we can do with less or more. Yeah, it was. I learned a lot from that.
So the way we did that was to do it in a number of stages. In previous films, visualizing the movie, you do pre-visualization through storyboards, and you photograph the storyboards and you sort of get an idea of the sequence of events. Sometimes you animate the movie from a 3D standpoint, and in this case, Alex really does well working with actors. So we set up a performance capture stage, and this was on one of the buildings here on the Fox lot in Sydney, and we put a grid down on the floor, and it was very much like a chess game. You had actors who were performing, and Alex would take them through the blocking, and the 3D animators would look at this checkerboard and see actor A goes from this square over to this one, and then he goes from here to here and here to here and here to here. And so in the computer you could actually take a figure of that actor, a representation of that actor, and move them, place them from one to the other, and just get a really quick blocking within hours of what that scene was like. And then they took that and started to animate the figures, and then start to build this animated version of the movie. So it was a very quick process, and one that allowed everybody, not only Alex, but everyone involved in it, to grasp what each sequence was, and the timings, and it's just invaluable. There's no way you can stress the importance of doing this, because then it becomes real and you really understand what this sequence is.